I love it because it's so truthful to who I was in that moment. And albums like hold that time and that energy and that feeling. It doesn't tell you who you are, it tells you who you are in a moment.
What does being a Maverick mean to you? What are you channeling in this role? Today I'm joined by a true icon, and that's a much more ambitious response. This all clearly resonates with so many people. How do you stay true to yourself? Welcome to Mavericks with Ari Melber. Today I am joined by the three-time Grammy winner, singer, songwriter, independent artist, Chance the Rapper.
Hey.
Hey, thanks for
What's
being
up,
here.
man? Thanks for having me.
How you doing?
Good, good.
I guess we should start with where we're at, which is
Yeah.
at the Blue Note Jazz Festival,
Yeah.
and you just came off headlining the final night. How's that feel? How'd it go? What does it mean to you?
It went really well.
Yeah.
It was I would say one of the performances that I will remember forever. And it just blew my mind. It was very, very like musical. A lot of jamming. I came out on stage before my set and did and I got to freestyle with Rakim. And it was just like super hip hop and super cool to be around some of the people that I admire the most in such a like super iconic time. Like it's the hip hop 50 every day this year. You gotta just know and sometimes take a second to like be grateful for moments that happen to you.
You mentioned Hip Hop 50. It's also Acid Rap 10, right?
Yeah.
But I want to start by going even further back. We pulled some real young Chance the Rapper with you and your friend talking about what you wanted to be. I just want to play this for you and get your thoughts on it.
Since
Wow.
7th grade, he's been. I've always wanted to be a rapper, and he's made beats for me since like I don't know, like 7th grade.
That's crazy. That was the after school program I used to do. It was a poetry contest. But with music. That's cheating, low key.
Who do you see there? And did that guy know he was going to make it here?
It sounds bad, but yes, that guy definitely saw it. It's like when you're a kid, oh man, like just being a kid, it's nothing like it, man, because you can dream so big. When I was in high school, I was so extroverted and like really trying to build community around what I envisioned as my career path. Like I put out like 4 mixtapes when I was in high school before I ever made a Chance the Rapper mixtape, you know what I mean? It was like just hand-to-handing and like doing talent shows and creating my own shows and just doing like a lot of stuff like that. Like a lot of that like passion, it's all you can focus on. It's all I can focus on because I didn't do school. I didn't do school for real. Like I just, I would come sometimes, but like I was always rapping and I was always doing stuff like that. Poetry. Yeah. I was going to after school programs, but not going to school that day. Like just coming to the after school part because it gave a lot of us access to so much information around production software and creative writing and I don't know, stage presence like that, open mic. I used to do an open mic like every Wednesday. That guy was very, very much so like, I'm trying to be famous, Mom. Like,
And getting up on those stages that young, there's levels, right? This was a much bigger stage, and you've been on bigger stages than this one. But how did that prepare you doing that so young?
Oh, it helped me a lot because I was performing for very small crowds. So I think if you get thrust into shows too early and you have like a huge following by the time you hit the stage, you think about it differently and I feel like it could be more difficult. Whereas like if you start out small, because the smaller shows are the hardest shows, right? Like I played rooms with like 12 people there, but that are like 150 capacity room, like 12 people looks really, really small and awkward. But I had to train myself to perform the same show for those 12 people as I would if I had the imaginary arena. You know what I mean? And be like connected, engaged, and enjoy the fact that that was my job in that moment. And that's easier to convert to a big room, because the big room, it's hard to even really see all the faces. But if you can keep that same connectedness from the small show and engage a certain person and make them feel like they're at the show with you and that you guys are singing together and that like it's them and you, then it's like the rest of the it's like, I don't know, it's like, you know what I mean?
I do. I mean, you're also talking about how like some artists, if they blow up too quick, as you said, their identity, even ego might be invested in, oh, now I'm in front of this big crowd. They're not ready to experiment or do their first 10 shows, right, when they're that big. People think of you as blowing up young. You had tremendous embrace, fan base, Grammy love, young. But young 20s for you was, you're telling us, over a decade into doing this.
Yeah. No, I've been recording since I was 13.
Yeah.
Because my cousin had a studio in his basement. A studio. But like, you know what I mean? Like, I was recording, I was making my own, I was making chapbooks, like little books of poetry since I was like in 4th grade. You feel me? So like, I always been a writer and always been a performer as well, because I used to dance. So I feel like I put out my first full I burned my first like 100 CDs of a original mixtape when I was 14, you know? And, you know, by the time I got Grammys, right, I was 23. So like, yeah, that's like 10 years into doing it. And yeah, there's a long time where I was just having to create opportunities. So like renting out a venue and like pre-having an agent or pre-having management, pre-having anything, just like go in and try and like create a show or an event using like this fan base I made out of an open mic, you know, because I'm young.
Yeah.
But like doing that over and over and over again and recycling that money and recycling that love and that support, it like created like a storm in Chicago. It's just like kind of just like spiraled out.
Yeah. So now 10 years out from Acid Rap.
Yeah.
What on the project either impresses you, like I had that right, that worked, or would you look at differently today? Because we've experienced it and people have their connections to it, but you kind of have this chance to think back on it.
Yeah. I mean, what do I think about it? And I was like, that was right. I would say most of it.
Yeah?
It's like Dave has this great quote that he tells me all the time, or that he says all the time, where he says it about specials, but when he talks to me about it, he says it about albums. But he says specials or albums are like yearbook photos. He said it doesn't tell you who you are, it tells you who you are in a moment. And you can look back at it and love all the things you love about it or point out all the things that you hate about it. But next year, you're going to have to come and take another photo anyway. So it's like, Acid Rap, I love it because it's so truthful to who I was in that moment. And albums like hold that time and that energy and that feeling. And I think that's also why a lot of people love it too, is because whatever was going on in their lives mixed with that music created memories forever. So I don't really like look at it as like, oh, this part of it is absolutely good or absolutely right or absolutely wrong or I should have changed it. It's like, it's a project I made when I was 19 years old. It's amazing.
And I'm curious about that confidence because rap, of course, has such bravado, but you're also seen as very down to earth. So you have the confidence, but you're also very much you. I mean, people feel like you come off genuine in your work and your music. I was looking at Juice where you said, wonder if I wrote this because it's so crisp. The most broke is cold, stock broker, winter solstice. When you look at that now, like, you still feel like that line's hard, or you're like, that's young me?
I feel like that's young me. Like, like, I feel like, but I mean, that's just what, it's like, who I really admire is like fine artists, like painters and architects and sculptors and photographers and people that just like make stuff, you know what I mean? Because again, it's like a timestamp. And so people gain different value out of this individual object and see it from so many different perspectives and hold on to what they hold on to from it. But like, the artist might be like, I don't like that piece. Like, I hate that painting. I don't like this photo. Or I don't like this one aspect of it. Is a blemish on the whole thing.
To that point, I mean, you had De La here this weekend. There was a time where they didn't want to even perform Me, Myself, and I. They said, because it took on a life of its own.
Yeah.
And it was like going around the world, that's the only song people wanted to hear. They're not at all in their own identity a pop band, you know?
Yeah.
And then they said they came back around to it. With what you're doing now, it seems very positive. I think you played Highs and Lows tonight.
Yeah.
Right? We have that here. Got to keep your eyes on the road. You feel your back on the ropes. You got to take the highs with the lows, got to take the highs with the lows. And your more recent work really seems engaged with like what some of us call, you know, adult contemporary hip hop. Are you again kind of young for where you're at? Because Hove is doing that in his 40s. Feels like you're doing it very like early 30s family stuff, but that's true to who you are right now?
Yeah. I think it's just always where I'm at. Like, to me, that song's just like, probably, if not my greatest verse, one of my greatest verses, because it's like, it's real, it's vulnerable, it's very like, it's still matter of fact though about how good I am. Like, it's all those things like at the same time, and to me, like, that's the best bars, you know what I'm saying? Bars, period. Because our culture is just bars, right?
Yeah.
It's like everything is bars. Like, rap is bars. I could just say some slick to you, and that's bars.
That's a bar.
Dave Chappelle only drops bars. He has nothing but bars. And the bar is like being vulnerable, being real, being honest. And like, that song is dark, yo. That song is not like
what part is dark to you?
Oh, the whole thing. But I mean, it's like, it's a acceptance of of how cyclical joy and hurt are. And so it's like, you got to take the highs with the lows, because as soon as you think you're at your highest point, there's going to be some lows. And the same thing, if you at your lowest low point, there's going to be some highs soon. But it's also like speaking about drugs, speaking about, vices overall. Just like, it's saying in the most me right now way, it's okay to not be okay, right? And so, like, when I listen to the song, I find both weakness and strength in it, because it's just like, I don't know, it's honest.
Yeah. I have a little bit of a montage we have of just some of your music, so I want to play that and also build on what you're saying, which is whether you think that kids growing up on your music today and other contemporaries are getting a healthier or wider view about what you just mentioned, which is what life's really like, or mental health and a different vibe. Because back in the day, a lot of that stuff was so stigmatized, right? It either was very much a subgenre or not even a part of a lot of music. It's definitely not a lot of mainstream hip hop.
Yeah.
So I'm curious your thoughts on that. Plus, we're just going to take a look at a couple other tracks.
Eyes on the road, and you feel your back's on the road. You gotta take the highs with the lows.
Yeah.
You gotta take the highs with the lows. Just wonder if I wrote this, cause it's so crisp. The brush broke, it's gold stock broke, or when I source this. You sound like why the gospel choir got so tired. Singing his praise on a daily basis, so I gotta try it. You my dream catcher, dream team captain. Matter of fact, I ain't seen you in a minute. Let me take my butt to church.
So anywhere you want to go.
Through videos. Yeah. You know where that first video was?
No.
It was at the Venice Biennale, one of the world's largest and most prestigious art fairs.
Oh, tight.
And it happens every other year in Venice, Italy. And me and Joey Badass and a bunch of my homies went out there and kicked it with some of the top artists in the world. So many like real, like heavy, like fine artists, black fine artists. And they were like the talk of the town. Like it was literally, it felt like some very like Harlem Renaissance type stuff. And we documented it for that video, for the highs and the lows, as a part of like this visual musical project that I'm working on. And I feel like I get a lot of the same vibes from being at this Napa Blue Note Jazz Fest swagathon, because there's so many dope, important black leaders in this bitch. And it just feels cool to like always bring a little bit of ruggedness to every space.
Yeah.
So like going to Venice, you know, like being a group of, like a big group of black people, like moving through that space and like recognizing the spaces that we didn't have access to, and also understanding that a lot of those spaces were spaces that we didn't need access to because we were carrying that light of that festival, was like a metaphor for how this stuff works. And I feel like the thing that I'm most proud about in the new music is that it's very truthful and it's very like ruggedly honest. And you can feel the community of high-level artists and thought leaders contributing to making that project work.
Well, and you seem really intentional about working across different types of art. I mean, in this brief conversation, you're talking about Chappelle, who's curating this with Glasper. That's comedy, jazz, visual art. You've cited. This whole place we're in is, as you said, going to a space that may not have always been as accessible, and remixing that. And then, of course, you have this work you're doing where you guys were in Ghana.
Yeah.
And next you're taking to Jamaica. Tell us about that festival and what that means to you. Again, in a space where a lot of times artists aren't in charge of these things, right? You seem to be changing that. So tell me about that, too.
Yeah. The Black Star Line Fest was so beautiful. And I had just gotten to, I just visited Ghana for the first time, like maybe a year before we put the festival on. So, you know, being in Africa with, you know, some of the top artists from the States and from the UK and from across Africa, and, you know, being in community with all those artists and like having like a safe and free and the autonomy of the festival. How you were just talking about how there's artists that like get to, like, how we're in position to curate and produce and create festivals on our own now. Like, that was that vibe. I mean, that's literally what it was. It was a black festival in Africa with T-Pain and Erykah Badu and Dave Chappelle and me and Vic and all these people. But it was like how we wanted to put it together. We wanted to be free. We wanted to be educational. We wanted to be multi-day. We wanted to be, you know, based in something, based in Garveyism, based in Pan-Africanism, based in, you know, I'm not gonna say all my politics because there's a lot of political people that watch this show, but like, you know what, y'all know what I be on.
Yeah.
But like, just being in that, it's like, it's a part of a larger renaissance that's just happening.
Yeah, well, you talk about politics, and we don't have to go deep on it, but your fluency with it, your family's connection to the Obamas,
Yeah.
I think you've gotten shout outs from both Obamas. That's a lot. You know, 2 Obamas.
Yeah.
Barack and Michelle.
Yeah.
And
2-time.
2-time. Then you have, of course, the comeback Barack clip, which we'll remind people of. But that
Emmy
goes
nominated.
viral. You get the Emmy for that. So obviously some of that has to just be organic, but some of it comes from what? Your early fluency and coming out of Chicago. What does that mean to you over time, being connected to, as you talk about, reviving and empowering Black voices in art and beyond? What does that mean to you?
Yeah, man. I feel like the reason why I like the term Renaissance is because it's like it's almost beyond elevating. It's almost like we're abolishing and like we're going into a whole new thought process. And I think that's like what it takes is like history is history and it's like it's what we learn from. But like I don't know that the political systems as they're set up right now or how they've been set up since the inception of America is one, not working obviously, but 2, like, I don't know how long it's gonna stay that way. Because we're just all not at our own fault, losing faith and belief in the integrity of the systems that are at play. And so, like, political, to me, always just has a negative connotation to it. But I believe in, like, political work that's, like, getting stuff done for real. You know what I mean?
Well,
like,
do you think from your experience with your father, being close to it, that made you, like,
that's called
even more realistic or pessimistic, or no?
I think, like, maybe when I was young, it made me more optimistic. But, like, the older you get and the more you understand just the bureaucracy and, like, how, like, stagnant stuff has been for a lot of groups, but definitely for Black folks in America.
Well, Bring Back Barack also was that thing where you tapped into a feeling where it was like, and this is true in art too, right? It's really easy for people to weigh in or criticize in the moment. And then when you get distance, or of course when something fades away, not that it has to die, but just like you have that distance, people go, oh no, that was great. It's like the way we sometimes hold up and worship the classics, or unfortunately sometimes people have to be gone. And then they say, oh, now I'm listening to Nipsey, or I'm learning about this, and you say, what about when they were here, you know?
That's super real.
Yeah. The last thing I want to show you video-wise is just the funny chants, because, again, you've subverted a lot of what people think about what a rapper has to be. There's these whole other dimensions you've been confident enough or open enough to share, right? Which is not at least 90s rapper stuff. So this is just some funny stuff we found.
Okay, I'm here with... Can you turn around so I can get a name? Yes, that is a S, a K, and a J all next to each other, so that's a nope. We're in love. And with love, there are no rules.
They're both from Chicago. Those are my people. Yeah, Cecily and Beck.
Hi, welcome to another edition of Between Two Ferns. My guest
I
today
forgot
is
that I did this.
Chance the Rapper.
Not Chance the Rapper.
You're friends with Kanye West. That's the joke.
I don't like that joke.
You put the rapper in the name, which always seemed like a bit of its own gag. But do you have to add something else? Is it also Chance, the comedian or the artiste, or this other part of you?
I love comedic acting. I love funny stuff. I'm from Chicago, so a lot of my friends grew up doing Second City and stuff like that. And I used to do improv at Thunderdome. So, and I just grew up loving SNL. So like that was just like always a given. When I was coming up rapping, one of my goals was to make it on SNL through raps. Yes.
But that's different than most rappers, don't you think?
Nah, it's not different than MC Hammer. So my older cousin was a big Hammer fan. Hammer's just a little bit before my time, right? I was born in '93. So when Hammer did SNL, he became the first rapper to do double duty on the show. So he was the host and in all the sketches, and he also performed twice. And so I had a video cassette that my cousin handed down to me of his SNL thing that he had taped, and I used to just watch it all the time. And I was like, I'm gonna do this one day. And so every time I came up to SNL, I was always begging to be in sketches. Like when I was coming on as a musical guest, and eventually I got hosting duty, but they wouldn't let me rap.
Oh, so you pushed for that, and then why do they only want you to host? Just to focus?
Lauren just said that, yeah, exactly. So Lauren was like, you need to focus on the show. So what was awesome was that when I got to focus on the show, I got to get back into my old writing bag, and I wrote 5 sketches for the show, and 3 of them made it to air, I think. Or 2 of them made it to air, 1 of them made it to dress rehearsal. But the famous, the Steve Harvey illegitimate son Family Feud episode, that was me and my homie Reese. And the Batman, you gotta do something about Batman. Those 2 are, but yeah, no, I love comedy. I love film overall. And yeah, it's always fun to just like go and play, like do some funny acting, do some games on Wild 'N Out. Those are my people.
Yeah. No, and that comes through, right? Which, again, I think is just different because you're sharing the multiple sides. You have yourself, while you can still go up and rock a crowd. I'd love to, before we lose you, and again, amazing to get you right off the headline set, I'd love to do what we call a lightning round. So it's like in a word or a sentence.
Yeah.
And it's just whatever comes to mind. I didn't sign a record deal because...
I was scared.
The best part about being an independent artist is...
Control.
The most challenging part is...
Money.
I knew I had more work to do when...
I had a kid.
I knew I'd made it when...
I met Kanye West.
Someone I want to collaborate with who I haven't yet is...
Ooh, Stevie Wonder.
This is like a word or a sentence. Common.
One of the greatest to ever do it.
Dave Chappelle.
Mentor.
Vic Mensa.
Broski.
Lil Wayne.
Oh, the best rapper alive.
Okay. For real? That's how you feel?
Yeah.
Okay.
Question Wayne?
Oh, my question.
Okay.
My questioning. He's not even Chicago, though, you know.
Lil Wayne is the best rapper alive.
SZA.
Friend, great friend.
Beyonce.
Goat.
All right, these are final 3. Failure means...
Quitting.
Success means...
Finishing.
Being a Maverick means...
Dirk Nowitzki.
Chance the Rapper, thank you so much, man.